Hello and welcome back to Motivated with Meg. We are still in season 1, the eating experiment, where we toss out the food rules and explore how food and freedom connect. No dogma, just freedom and the space to experiment for yourself. If you've been following along with season 1 of the eating experiment, I would love to know how your experiments are going. So comment below, let me know what you're liking, what you're disliking, or feel free to DM me at Motivated with Meg. All right, so today we are diving into something that trips up many people, which is getting into the kitchen and cooking for ourselves, or just making meals for ourselves. It doesn't even have to be cooking. But, for many people, cooking, meal planning, food shopping, it can seem really intimidating, and I've been there. Maybe it just feels like a chore, adulting, or you've told yourself that you're just not good at it. Whatever it is that stops you from getting in the kitchen and doing something for yourself there, cooking a healthy meal or getting ready for the week with meal planning, we want to look at that. Not because meal planning is like the biggest, best thing in the entire world. A lot of diets talk about meal planning, and it can be overwhelming. The goal is to not overwhelm you with this conversation. It's not to be perfect. It's not to have every meal planned. It's just to look at, why are we not even doing this for ourselves? If you're not even getting in the kitchen and cooking for yourself, if you buy food at the grocery store and then it goes bad in your fridge and you're ordering DoorDash, we really want to look at that, because that's just wasting food. It's wasting money. It's not helpful. It's not getting you to any of your goals. It's not nutritionally taking care of you. And so let's look at why that happens. So the first thing I want to do is challenge you to do just that. Look at cooking and cleaning your kitchen specifically as an act of self-care. Not something that you have to do, but something that you get to do for your own health and well-being. For myself, when I feel demotivated when it comes to getting into my kitchen and doing this, or writing my shopping list and going to the store, I remind myself that with gratitude, not with guilt or anything like that or judgment, just with gratitude that there are people who don't even have a kitchen. There are people who can't afford to go food shopping and get the food that they want to cook and try out a new recipe. And I am grateful that I can do those things. Now, that doesn't always motivate me to go into the kitchen and do it. It's not to use that always as a motivation. It's just a nice reminder when I'm in my head about it that there's a kitchen here and I could just be grateful and get into it. Stop overthinking, just get up and do it. So I want to challenge you today to see cooking and cleaning as an act of self-care. Because let's be real, people avoid cooking for a lot of reasons. And this could be because it feels overwhelming, whether it's the time, the prep, or simply not knowing where to start. Or maybe it's because there's some worry about having certain foods in your house that maybe you're like, I don't trust myself with this. I'm going to overeat it, so I can't have it in the house. And maybe it's something else. Maybe you don't have a routine when it comes to cleaning your kitchen. So your kitchen's consistently messy and there's dishes in the sink, and that demotivates you. It's hard to want to go into your kitchen and cook something when you have to first clean it, right? And so these are all some things that I've worked with clients or have had issues with myself when it comes to getting into my kitchen. And that's what I want to talk about on today's episode, so we can get you in your kitchen experimenting with cooking some more. Because getting better at knowing how to cook for yourself can help reduce stress. It can save time and money while taking care of your health. And keep in mind, this is coming from me, somebody who would consider themselves a beginner cook who's dabbled in being an intermediate cook. I've never cooked a huge holiday dinner for an entire family or anything like that. And I just focus on myself and my fiance. But I do truly enjoy cooking, and I enjoy knowing I created something that was delicious and also gave my body the nutrients it needed. So if you're someone who doesn't enjoy cooking, that's okay. I'm not trying to force you to cook. But maybe just give this experiment a try once this week. It doesn't have to be all 7 days. Or use the time to set up your kitchen or your life in a way that supports less cooking and still feeds you nutritionally dense meals that you enjoy. Because in the end, you need to eat every single day, usually multiple times a day. That's just life, right? It's not going to stop happening. Your body runs on food. It's its fuel. You're going to get hungry every day, most likely. You're going to need to eat every day. So being prepared for that hunger is one of the best things we can do. And there is no right or wrong way to do this necessarily. It's just about being prepared. Research shows that cooking at home is linked to healthier eating habits and stronger connections with the food we eat. A peer-reviewed study from the Journal of Behavioral Nutrition found that people who cook at home more often tend to have better diet quality and lower body fat percentages. Now again, our goal here isn't necessarily to lower your body fat percentage or diet or try to lose weight, but I know that people listening to this, that might be your goal. And so I want you to understand that research does show cooking and eating from home can help you do that. Another study found that cooking can improve mental well-being because it gives a sense of accomplishment and even lower stress levels. Imagine that. Cooking doesn't just nourish your body, it also nourishes your mind and it can help lower stress levels. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, no, Megan, cooking stresses me out. I hate cooking. I have to figure everything out and that stresses me out. And if that's you, that's okay. It's about breaking this down into smaller and smaller baby steps so you don't get as stressed and doing it in a way that works for you. And again, most cookie cutter diet programs out there don't do that, and they don't teach you how to make this work for you. They just tell you to follow their program. And if you can't stick to it, then it's your fault, right? It's not their fault, it's your fault. And that's just not true. It just probably doesn't fit your lifestyle. So just kind of give you a short story here. I had a client who always felt overwhelmed by cooking because her kitchen was often not clean. And that's not a judgment. She was busy. She worked a lot. She didn't sleep well. She didn't feel motivated to get into her kitchen and clean, right? Which stopped her from getting in there to cook. And so once we figured out that was the barrier, we figured a way to work together to get her cooking more. And that was to use a part of our call, the beginning of our call, towards cleaning. So as we started for the first 5 minutes of the call, just kind of talking about how the week was going or just reconnecting on what we talked about the last call, she would just be in her kitchen cleaning. She'd just be putting dishes in the dishwasher and all that stuff. Within the first 5 to 10 minutes of the call, the kitchen would now be clean. Not like glamorous, ceiling to floor clean, but just clean enough to get in there and feel motivated to cook. And then she could start hard boiling eggs and just getting some stuff done in the kitchen to support her life. I'm a big fan of really easy foods like hard-boiled eggs. It's not that I don't want a delicious meal and that I never cook a delicious meal. It's just set my life up so that there are nutrient-dense foods I can quickly grab on a busy day. And then when I have more time, I can cook myself a delicious meal, or I can go out to eat and get a delicious meal. It's just setting up my life the way it works for me the best. And I know for myself, ordering food out or eating lunch out a lot usually doesn't feel great for me, and it takes a big chunk out of my wallet. So I'd rather DoorDash less and brown bag it more if I can. And that was the same thing for her. She also found herself often stopping at the drive-thru on her way home from work, either because she was stressed about work and she knew that there was no food at home and she hasn't eaten in 5 hours. So she was getting hungry and she was like, by the time I get home, I'd have to clean the kitchen, I'd have to cook. I'm not going to get to eat for 2 hours. I'm already hungry right this moment. I might as well just stop at the drive-thru. And so there's nothing wrong with that. We're not bashing the drive-thru, but the reason she's stopping at the drive-thru is A, not eating enough earlier, being hungry on the drive home, and B, knowing she didn't have anything at home prepared or that would be easy to eat, she was going the easiest route. And so there's nothing wrong with going the easiest route. That's literally how our brains work. It always wants to choose, the fastest route is a straight line from point A to point B. And that's what your body's always trying to do, to conserve energy. That's where habits come in. And so it makes sense that her brain would be like, why don't you just stop at the drive-thru instead of having to go home and clean and cook and everything when you're tired after a long day of work? You work hard, you make money, you deserve this. So again, nothing wrong with going to the drive-thru, but it became this habit and she then never got into her kitchen and cooked. So if cooking and cleaning or organizing your kitchen are holding you back from getting into the kitchen, know that you're not alone. And maybe that's your starting point today. Tidying it up a little so you can cook in a space that feels inviting. Remember to try to approach this experiment with curiosity and not judgment. Shift the focus to the joy of experimenting, creating, and nourishing yourself. When I was a kid, I had an easy bake oven, and I got really experimental. Like, okay, what happens when you take like an Oreo, a Twizzler, and a Dorito, and you smash them together and you bake them? Listen, it's really not good. I don't recommend it, but it was fun. And that's the whole point of getting in the kitchen again, is like, can you make it fun instead of a chore? If you have kids, can you get the kids involved in helping you do stuff? Make it a family event. So your experiment this week, if you haven't guessed, is to try cooking just one simple meal or snack with minimal ingredients. No pressure to make a fancy meal or prepare meals for the entire week and to go food shopping for the entire week. None of that, right? We're not trying to overwhelm ourselves. This isn't about meal prepping like a pro. It's about enjoying the process of creating something nourishing for yourself. In time, you might decide that you actually like it and you want to do more, and maybe even want to get into meal prepping, but we're not there yet. We're just taking it one step at a time. And that first step is really just to try one simple recipe this week. You have 7 days, one simple recipe. It doesn't even have to involve cooking. It could be overnight oats. I don't care. It's just about getting back into the kitchen, right? I want to motivate you to get back in there if you're not already in there. If you're already in there, high five. Amazing. Great. This probably is not the episode for you. But maybe you were in there and you just fell out of it for a month because life got busy. So then definitely this episode's for you. Motivate you to get in there and get back into your routine when it comes to cooking at home. So the goal is to embrace the experience. Chopping the vegetables. Ooh, that's an experience. Hearing the sizzling in the pan. Going back to mindful bites, like mindful cooking, being aware, like smelling the food, the aromas, and taking pride in the meal you're cooking. And so this is your moment to connect with your food in a way that's empowering versus overwhelming. Put on some music if it helps. Dance around your kitchen. Make it fun. I am a huge fan of putting on music and just kind of dance around in my kitchen as I do stuff. If you struggle with this, comment below. That's what I'm here for. Motivation, accountability. If you have any appliances like a crock pot, look up a recipe for crock pots. They are excellent appliance to have in the house. They're an easy way to make a lot of yummy food at once with no real cooking involved. You just chop a bunch of vegetables, you throw them all in the crock pot, you set the crock pot on, high for 3 hours or low for 6 to 8 hours, and then you're going to come back to a meal. I just did this recently with sausage, peppers, and onions, and had buns with it, and it was absolutely delicious. What a fun meal. Literally took me 5 minutes to chop everything and pop it into the crock pot, and then it cooked for 3 hours. The house smelled amazing. I had food. And I had plenty of food, right? I can eat this food now for a few meals. I can share it with somebody else. So if you have any appliances like a crock pot, I recommend doing just that. Look up a recipe for it. If you have an air fryer, do the same thing. Make your life easy. Use the appliances you have. After you've experimented with this, take a moment to reflect. How did cooking make you feel? Did it help you feel more connected to the food? Did it reduce any of the overwhelm you might be having around cooking at home? Were you able to practice mindful bites and listen to fullness while eating the meal you cooked? So remember that cooking for yourself, it gives you control to know more about what you're putting into your body. You know the ingredients because you cooked it, right? You know the portions because you're plating it. And in many cases, it's going to be a lot healthier than ordering takeout or grabbing fast food because a lot of fast food places use peanut oils and other oils, and they fry things, and the oil you use and the method of cooking, like frying, they do matter to how healthy the food is. And again, there's no judgment here. I love me some fried food. I love a good onion ring and French fries and fried calamari, and I can keep going with the fried food I love, and I'm not against it. But I noticed that if I have a good amount of it, it does hurt my stomach. And so there's just finding this balance of not overdoing it with those types of food. So, of course, life is going to get in the way sometimes. And whether that's because of a lack of time, a lack of skill, or simply a chaotic kitchen, these barriers are real, but they're not unbeatable. And so we don't have to judge them and get upset at ourselves. We just want to take a deep breath. And when we can, start to go down the dirt path, the new habit of cooking for ourselves versus the paved highway of ordering DoorDash. And so keep it simple. You don't have to spend hours in the kitchen. Try a 15-minute recipe. Try the crock pot. Try overnight oats. If skill is the issue, start small. Scrambled eggs, a smoothie, roast some vegetables, chop vegetables, olive oil, salt, pepper, garlic into the oven. You're good to go. You got some nice vegetables coming out. I promise you, they're going to be delicious. If your kitchen's a mess, don't even worry about cooking. Just dedicate 10 minutes to cleaning some part of your kitchen, or all of it if you can, to try to get that barrier out of the way. So then the next time you feel motivated to get into the kitchen, it's clean and you can. I encourage you to approach this week's kitchen experiment with curiosity. Bring awareness to your current habits and bring awareness to the experiment and how it makes you feel about your current habits. Do you feel better when you cook at home? Do you notice a shift in how you feel about food or yourself? Do you notice less bloating maybe because you're now more in control of the ingredients? Lots of other questions you can ask here, but just bring awareness to it. If you need any support, you don't have to do this alone. There is an accountability group you can join that I host. You can also just comment below or DM me. I am here to support you. Sometimes we all just need a little bit of community to help us take that next step, and that is what the community and accountability group is there for. Thank you so much for tuning in again to another episode of Motivated with Meg. Remember, eating at home is not about perfection. It's about having fun, it's about experimenting, and it's about nourishing yourself. So whether you're feeding a family or just yourself, keep in mind that you deserve to feel good about what you're eating. You deserve to feel good in your body, and that you can do this. You are capable of doing it. Don't overthink it. Don't look at the entire big picture. Just focus on one small step, like getting in your kitchen and cleaning it, or choosing one recipe that you can cook this week. All right, that's it for today's episode of Motivated with Meg. Until next time, be kind and be yourself. Everyone else is already taken.